I have water in my greenhouse. I'm going to be able to not only grow plants in the ground, but do a lot of potting up because of this. And it's easy to do. Join me today as I show you how I added water to my greenhouse. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and when I set up my greenhouse last year, I discovered a problem that I didn't anticipate. I like to hand water my plants, but because the greenhouse is set so far away from the house, I have to drag a hose around. And dragging this hose into the greenhouse to water proved to be troublesome. At first, I dealt with it, but this big hose, as I move around the greenhouse, actually gets in the way, and it broke off a couple of the plants that I was growing in this bed. That's not a problem in my vegetable garden. In fact, one of the advantages of growing in raised beds is that you can move the hose around, and the bed acts as a hose guard, so you're not knocking over the plants. That's not the same in the greenhouse, so I needed to come up with a better solution. The plants in a greenhouse typically need to be watered every single day. It gets hot in here during the summer. Evaporation happens pretty quickly, and I have to replenish the soil moisture for the plants. And it got to be a pain dragging that hose out to the greenhouse every single day, because that's what I'm also using to water the main vegetable garden. So I wanted a solution that gave me water in the greenhouse that was easily accessible, that I could use every day without dragging that hose around, and I found it. It sits right here behind my potting bench. It's a retractable hose from Vivor. And with this, I can pull out the hose and water my plants very easily. The retractable hose reel allows me to pull out as much hose as I need, and then it'll lock that length in. When I'm done watering, it's just a simple matter of it retracting back onto the reel. This one-piece construction has everything I need, and it's actually portable, so I could move it around to other locations, but I think the greenhouse is ideal. I began by digging a hole in the corner of my greenhouse, and this is where I buried a 4x4 post, tamping down the soil as I was installing it so it would be nice and sturdy. And then I put in place the mount for the hose reel. And it's a simple matter of just putting this over that mount, sliding in the locking key, and now this is all ready to go. Now, I don't have a water line that comes all the way out to my greenhouse, so I still need a hose. The difference is that I can take an extra hose, attach it to my faucet, and then connect it to the hose that leads to the retractable reel. I've actually installed this so it runs under the wall of my greenhouse. During the warm months, when I don't have to worry about the water freezing, I can leave this in place all the time. And then I have water available to my greenhouse all of the time. Because this is so easily adjustable, it means that I can pot up plants on my potting bench and not worry about tripping over the hose. I'm planning on actually putting a couple hooks here so that I can hang this and then just lift it up to water as needed. And then turn around and water the plants that I have growing in the bed in my greenhouse. And even though I'm only using about 8 to 10 feet right now, I have a lot more in the way of options with this system. This reel actually holds 65 feet of hose. So that means I can take the hose and feed it out the greenhouse door, and I can water everything around the greenhouse for a pretty good distance. I can use the long hose to water this entire section of my garden. I don't have to worry anymore about dragging the heavy hose all the way around. I just pull this out from the greenhouse and I can water all of these plants. It allows me to set up different watering zones. I've got enough hoses, I've got enough water. Now I can dedicate hoses to that part of the garden and to this part of the garden without dragging 150 feet of hose like I have been doing the last couple years. I have big plans for this area to become a flower and herb garden, and I'll be putting plants along this wall of the greenhouse. This smaller hose will be easy to move in and out and water all of these plants. It's too far away and too expensive to set up an automatic watering system for my whole garden. I like getting close to the plants. I like seeing what's happening. I like the hand watering. And having a new central water source in my greenhouse really opens up the world to me as I start adding more plants to this area. I have my greenstock vertical planters here on my deck just outside my back door, and the water source is right there on that wall. During the growing season, I use a short hose from the faucet to the vertical planters. It works, but it's a tripping hazard. I'm too lazy to wind it up every single time. But now I'm thinking about adding a retractable hose reel for not only these plants, but the others that I'm growing on the deck. Right now I've got potatoes and garlic, and I would grow more flower pots, except it's tough getting the hose up here to water everything. Mounting another one of those V4 retractable hose reels just above this faucet actually makes a lot of sense. Last year during the growing season, I had a few plants growing here, but because I didn't want to drag the hose around, I typically use this 2-gallon watering can to water the plants. Because I didn't want to keep refilling this, I only watered around the plants. That meant most of the soil in this area was too dry for the soil life to really develop, and I'm all about the soil life. Now I don't need to keep carting that 2-gallon watering can around. I can water everything, and I've been doing this on a regular basis. I've amended all the soil here, and the soil life is starting to thrive because I can keep this entire bed evenly moist without too much extra work. Water in the greenhouse, I'm sold. This is one of the best things I've ever done. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.